Below the South China Sea, there's an underwater mountain range with canyons so deep that no man or machine has explored them. Ships often disappear in those waters and nobody knows why. Under a heavy storm, Layla is trying to fix something on a ship while arguing with John, who refuses to come out to help her.
Get off your lazy ass and come and help me!
I'm working hard too, you know.
Suddenly the screen glitches, so he loses access to the radar. He yells at mechanic Joey, who scolds him back because he's always hitting the machines instead of treating them well. The crew has been hired by Hanover, who is interested in taking some cargo to a very specific spot in the middle of nowhere but hasn't told them why. Hanover has come with a team of mercenaries who aren't used to the sea. T-Ray gets sick and everyone teases him when he pukes. An argument ensues between T-Ray and Mamuli and they threaten each other with their weapons, but they end up laughing it off. Then the group starts describing disgusting things to make T-Ray puke again. Joey sneaks into the cargo bay to open Hanover's boxes and he's shocked to discover torpedoes. The mercenaries catch him red-handed and start beating him up. Layla hears this on the comms and has to convince John to help. He ends up shooting at a wall to make everyone stop and explains that if they don't behave, they'll break the contract and he won't finish the mission. Hanover reminds him that not asking questions is also part of the contract and the mercenaries keep hitting Joey, so John hits one of them in return. The mercenaries immediately take out their guns and put a knife to Joey's neck, but Hanover orders them to let Joey go. While Layla takes care of her boyfriend's wounds, Hanover opens the boxes with weapons to arm his men and Mulligan activates the torpedoes. Meanwhile, a luxurious cruise is also navigating through the storm, but everyone inside is having lots of fun. The owner Simon gives a speech about his project and promises to make everyone's dreams come true. Trillian makes her way through the party and bumps into Captain Atherton to smoothly steal his wallet. She goes outside to empty it and is creeped out by a strange noise coming from the sea. Afterward, Trillian picks the lock on the security office and covers the camera with bubblegum. Then she uses the card she stole from Atherton's wallet to access the vault, where she finds priceless jewelry. At that moment, Simon and Atherton come in and make their men arrest her. It turns out they've received a report with Trillian's criminal file, which details all her robberies, convictions, and the fact that she's wanted in 4 countries. Simon slaps her and Atherton takes back his card. Since the ship doesn't have a cell, they lock Trillian up in the storage room. However, Simon doesn't notice that she's taken his wallet. Trillian is happy to eat and drink the fancy things in the storage. In the control room, a mysterious person breaks in and hacks into the computer to access the disks, which they proceed to exchange for their own. After they leave, all systems go off, so the ship loses access to the comms and the radar malfunctions. Among the glitches, a sailor notices something big approaching them underwater. Suddenly that mysterious thing hits the cruise ship, causing dozens of people to fall and get hit by furniture or broken glass. They also fall down the stairs or over balconies. While the food boxes fall on Trillian, the cruise loses one of its speedboats. The crowd panics and runs through the corridors, pushing and stepping on each other as they try to escape. A woman hides in the bathroom and hears a strange noise in the walls. At that moment, something reaches through the toilet to grab her, destroying the bathroom while slowly killing her. Back to John, he sees the mercenaries making holes at the bow to install a torpedo launcher. The radar is still failing, but it can detect something in the water. It's the fallen speedboat, but by the time John sees it, it's too late. His ship crashes into the speedboat and a huge explosion happens, which severely damages many areas of the ship including the engine. John has no choice but to shut all systems down. The group rushes to put all the fires out, and thankfully none of the torpedoes explode. When Layla uses her binoculars, she sees the cruise ship nearby, and John thinks they could ask them for some fuel. Suddenly the mercenaries surround the crew with their weapons and Hanover announces they're in charge now. It turns out their plan has always been to rob the cruise and blow it up with the torpedoes after they're done to get rid of the evidence. The cruise ship isn't moving, so it's easy for the mercenaries to use a special device to force a door open and climb inside. Joey and John are also brought to the mission as hostages, but Layla is left behind with Billy. They rush to the main room and find a complete disaster, not to mention the lack of power except for a few emergency lights. The most shocking thing is the lack of people, since they can't find a single person around. There's blood everywhere, even in the elevator. The search continues, but they still can't find any people, yet the lifeboats are still on the ship. Suddenly they hear an explosion and the mercenaries open fire, shooting their guns for several minutes until John points out it's just a malfunctioning firework. However, the men are so impressed by these powerful guns that Hanover got them that they keep shooting for fun. Afterward, the group splits to proceed with the plan. In the storage room, Trillian wakes up and hears some weird noises in the pipes. She can't unlock the door, so she breaks the cables to force it open and leaves. On the other ship, Layla is repairing a large hole caused by the crash when she gets startled by something in the water. She's horrified to see a floating body, and while she wonders what to do, something grabs her legs and pulls her underwater. In the cruise's mechanical room, John and Joey are getting the parts needed to repair their ship. John points out that this cruise's hull is supposed to be impregnable, so he doesn't understand what could be strong enough to break it. T-Ray hears a weird noise and goes to the corridor to investigate. After wandering for a while, he's startled by something falling on him. but it's just some cables. As the noise continues, T-Ray notices bubbles in the water and comes closer, only to get instantly killed. The others hear his scream and the strange noise getting louder. In the main office, Trillian tries to access the vault again and is caught by the rest of the group. Hanover grabs her by the neck and demands to know what happened, but she has no idea. A mercenary takes Simon's card from her and opens the vault, only to get an axe on his head. It turns out Simon and a few survivors have been hiding there. The group opens fire and kills most of the group before they realize it's just civilians. Simon and Atherton manage to avoid the fire and the mercenaries take them hostage. At the same time, Mamuli calls Hanover to tell him that T-Ray is dead. John says there's something down there and they should leave. Suddenly Mamuli is pulled down and dragged around in the water, causing him to hit his head on a pipe. Joey and John stare in shock as Mamuli is taken into a dark corner and gruesome noises confirm he's been killed. While Joey rushes to grab the needed parts, John opens fire with Mamuli's gun so they can leave the room. John and Joey reach a corridor, where they see a shape moving in the water. The monster destroys the floor as it comes closer and the duo runs as fast as possible to reach a door, which they lock to keep the creature out. In the vault, Simon tells Hanover that the monsters are everywhere, so Hanover agrees that the robbery can wait. While everyone is distracted, Trillian runs to get in the elevator, where she can hear the creepy noises in the shaft. When the doors open, Joey and John rush in and stop her from getting out. The noises continue until the elevator stops at the main office, where the rest of the group also gets in. The mercenaries still don't believe the monster story and think John killed their friends. When Mulligan grabs him to yell at him, John kicks him in the groin. Then the elevator starts shaking and moving faster. The group gets scared and tries to stop it, but the buttons aren't working. At that moment the cables break and the elevator begins to fall at great speed. Thankfully, when it crashes, the doors break and everyone rolls out. On this floor, they're horrified to find blood all over the place and skeletons covered in goo. At the end of the corridor, the door is starting to bend and the lock is finally broken. The walls also start bending, but it stops in just a few seconds. The group waits in silence, hoping the creature will go away. However, when a mercenary accidentally steps on a skull, the noise causes the monster to go crazy and hit the walls again. Hanover and John open fire as the group retreats, reaching another door and locking it before the monster can touch them. In the other ship, Billy is looking for Layla and notices something weird in the water. Minutes later the group makes it to the maintenance room, where there's no blood or damage. Simon and Atherton explain they couldn't call for help because something messed with the system. However, John concludes Simon did it because he's noticed that he and Hanover know each other. It turns out Simon is in debt, so he hired the mercenaries to loot the cruise and blow it up for the insurance money. He had planned to save the passengers on the lifeboats, but the monsters ruined everything. Atherton gets furious and jumps on Simon, so Hanover has to separate them. While they're distracted, Trillian steals a gun. At that moment Joey sees some goo falling on his shoulder and when he turns around, he screams at the sight of giant tentacles on the ceiling. John opens fire, causing blood and goo to fall all over them. The bullets tear a tentacle open and Billy falls from it. He screams in unbearable pain as the goo slowly disintegrates his body until only the skeleton is left. The horrified group starts running while shooting the guns, destroying as many tentacles as they can. However, the monsters appear to be in every corner of the ship. The team splits as they panic and Trillian finds John to ask him to take her away in his ship. They're interrupted by an attacking tentacle that makes Trillian run away. John notices that the tentacle has teeth but no eyes. It also reacts to any sound. No matter how slowly John moves, the monster hears him and opens its tentacle mouth to attack. Thankfully, Trillian comes back with open fire and wounds the tentacle until it leaves. In another corridor, Simon finds Atherton with his leg caught by the monster, but he refuses to help. Trillian and John arrive and try to get him out, however the monster is too strong and quickly devours him. The others also come in and open fire with John until they can't see the creature anymore. Simon explains that by judging by the size, the tentacles are actually a mutated version of a worm known as Ada. They spit out the skeletons after sucking out all their praise fluids. John announces he's going back to his ship and everyone follows him. Soon the emergency lights also go out and they have to use flashlights. Unfortunately, the only passage that can take them to the exit is flooded, so John, Hanover, and Mulligan agree to dive in to check if it's a swimmable distance. As they look around, Mulligan finds a severed arm and he freaks out. John and Hanover have to pull him out when they reach the other end. At that moment a monster appears in the corridor behind the other group and Joey has to hurry to close the door. The beast starts pounding on the steel, so a terrified Simon jumps into the water to join the others. The door eventually blows off and the worms try to attack the humans, who immediately open fire. The strength of the mercenary weapon causes Trillian to fall into the water too. Soon Joey runs out of bullets, so he also jumps into the water. The last mercenary keeps on firing until the worm retreats, then he follows the others. Unfortunately, a worm finds him and captures him, so before dying he activates a grenade to bring the beast down too. The group reunites in the kitchen and discusses their options. Simon explains he did hire a rescue team as part of the plan, but it'll arrive in 24 hours. Half of the group thinks they should go to John's boat while the other thinks they should wait in the kitchen because there's enough food to survive. Mulligan starts losing his mind and Hanover has to keep him back at gunpoint. Suddenly a worm appears behind Mulligan, so everyone runs away while he opens fire. The stray bullets hit the stove and start a fire, causing the worm to retreat into a vent. A smug Mulligan yells at the vent to taunt the monster, who then appears behind him and swallows him whole. The rest of the team is trying to find an exit, but the monsters keep closing every door they find. They also break some cables to block the corridor, and Simon realizes the worms are forcing them to go to the ship's bow. He tells the others how to get there, but he takes a different hallway. When the group enters the bow, they're horrified to find skeletons and blood everywhere. Suddenly the hull breaks and a huge wave floods the bow. The group runs back through the corridor and finds Simon, who closes a door on their faces. The water soon hits John and Trillian, making them lose the bag with the ship parts. The monsters chase after Joey and Hanover, who throws a grenade. The explosion slows the creatures down, but it's not enough to stop them. Hanover decides to shoot Joey's leg to make him fall and leaves him behind as bait. Joey manages to find a dumb waiter and hides inside, so the monsters go after Hanover instead. In the casino room, Joey takes a break and is suddenly startled by Hanover, who is slowly being eaten by a worm. Joey gives him a gun before running away, and Hanover tries to shoot him but he fails. Then Hanover tries to self-delete to stop his suffering, but he wasted the last bullet and now he has to live through being devoured. Meanwhile, Simon makes it outside and realizes the cruise is going to sink. He also sees an island nearby. John and Trillian also make it outside, so John returns to his ship while Trillian enters a side door to search for a motorboat. Inside the ship, John reunites with Joey and they make a plan. They'll activate the torpedoes and put the ship on autopilot to send it after the worms. While working on repairs, Joey starts crying when he realizes Layla is dead. After a few failed tries, they finally get the systems running and the duo says goodbye to their ship before leaving. In the cruise, Trillian finds the boat's keys, but she's suddenly cornered by Simon. When he tries to take the key from her, he slips on the water and he accidentally shoots a flare, giving her an opening to run. Since Trillian is taking too long, John tells Joey to stop the engines while he goes back to rescue her. Simon chases after Trillian through the corridors, shooting more flares that she has to dodge. After lots of running, Simon manages to corner Trillian again. When he's about to kill her, John bursts through the door with open fire, and Simon immediately escapes. At that moment the ship starts shaking and an explosion destroys lots of furniture. The tentacles emerge from a hole and the duo is horrified to discover that Simon's theory was wrong. It's not worms, it's actually an enormous mutated octopus that is big enough to send its tentacles to every corner of the ship at the same time. When the duo tries to escape, a tentacle quickly captures John and the monster roars at him. John uses the chance to shoot it in the eye and the tentacle drops him. He tells Trillian to run to the cargo bay while he goes back for Joey. When John returns to his ship, he finds goo in Joey's jacket, indicating he's been eaten. After taking a moment to grieve and activate the autopilot, he goes back to the cruise and startles Trillian, who almost shoots him down. Meanwhile, Simon is outside and sees that John's ship is working, so he jumps to board it and breaks his leg in the process. He has to drag his body to the control room where he tries to take control of the ship, but he can't override the autopilot. John and Trillian get on a motorboat, but when they try to leave, they find the tentacles blocking the exit. A chase ensues through the corridors while John keeps shooting at the beast to slow it down. The monster then tries to approach them from a different hallway, so John shoots the elevator buttons to open it and crosses both sets of doors, which close behind them, and leaves the monster out. Simon screams as the ship crashes against the cruise, causing a big explosion that sends fire through every room and corridor. The duo drives as fast as possible and manages to jump out of the cruise right before the flames could reach them. The cruise soon goes down in an even bigger explosion, killing the mutated octopus in the process. In the morning, John and Trillian make it to the island. The motorboat won't work anymore, so they have to wait for help. After they share a kiss, they see something in the water. It's Joey, who has managed to escape. The friends finally reunite, but their happiness is short-lived because they hear a loud roar in the forest. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.